Just checking my voice. Just checking my voice. Okay, good evening. Myself is TJ Abraham. I am one of the directors of iLearn IAS. So welcome to the workshop. Okay. On behalf of iLearn, I would like to welcome every one of you to this particular session. Now, before I start this particular session, I would like to give what is the agenda for this particular session. Okay. Now, as we all know, taking a career in civil service is a very important decision that we need to make in our life. And obviously, it's the greatest career that probably like one of the biggest and the greatest career that we can get in India. But the steps to this particular post is highly challenging. We need to make a lot of sacrifices. That is in our prime age, probably from 23 to 30, we would need to spend a lot of hours preparing for this particular examination. So it's very important that we need to be properly informed when we take this particular decision. So it is to help you make a good decision, like whether, like, what is my aim in my life, like what I want to do once I become a civil servant, what opportunities are there. And the most important phase in this particular thing is that choosing a civil service coaching institute. Okay, so rather than just speaking about our workshop and our program, what we would like to do is that we want to help you to make an informed decision regarding how to choose an institute, what things that you need to look into when you're choosing an institute. Okay, so I would be covering these aspects. So what we'll be doing in this particular session is we'll be explaining our program. Okay, and when we're explaining our program, what we'll be doing is that, like, we'll be also giving some things that you as an individual need to look into when you're starting your civil service coaching preparation. Okay, so what we're going to do in this particular session is we'll be going to talk regarding our program and our faculties. That is, our faculties who are going to take classes for you next year, they'll be giving an introduction regarding their subject. So that is the agenda. And just like civil service coaching is a challenging thing, I request all of you to be with us for the next 2 hours. Okay, please listen to the videos, listen to the talks by our faculty, so you get an idea regarding what things you need to look into when we choose an institute. Okay, now I'll just start about iLearn. Okay, a brief introduction, because I'm saying these things because to start coaching, you need to have a friend. And here iLearn is going to be a friend. So you need to know about your friend. You need to know about iLearn. So we started in 2015. We started in Trivandrum, Kerala. And there are certain terms now, it is very synonymous in the civil service circle in Kerala. Terms like mentorship, answer writing practice, test series. Okay, we were pioneers when it comes to these mentorship, systematic answer writing things. Okay, before we came in, there was one major institute in Kerala. Okay, that was hugely supported by the government. And and when we came in, like we, the directors, we, the founders of this particular institute, we being someone who has gone through this particular process of civil service preparation, we know how much important the test series is. That we know that there should be someone, this is a 9-month process, 1 year you need to take the examination, 1 year you need to prepare, the next 1 year you need to take the examination. So they need to be someone who need to academically and morally and emotionally support you. So that's why we came up this particular mentorship session. And when it comes to the mains examination, it's all about answer writing. So we brought in these elements into the traditional civil service preparation system. And because of that, we had an exponential growth. First year we started with 25 years, then we had 100 students, then we had 200 students, then we had 400 students. Okay, and we also got what? Great results. Okay, and this year, like, we are celebrating 100 plus. Okay, because fortunately, by God's grace and everyone's effort, like more than 100 students from our institute have made into civil service. So we are celebrating this 100 plus civil servants. Okay, so next I'll just give you an overview regarding our program. Okay, so this is our legacy, as I have told you. Like, these are the 100 selections that we have made in the last 5 years. Okay, so we are celebrating 100 plus civil servants this year. Okay, and everyone sitting at that end, probably next year when we are giving this workshop, we can see some of your photos here. Not next year, probably the year after that. Okay, so happy to know about that. So I'll give an idea regarding our prelims-cum-mains program. So we are going to start our prelims-cum-mains program on 19th April 2021. Okay, now it is an integrated program. Now, what is meant by an integrated program? See, we don't separate prelims and mains. Okay, we have an integrated program. For example, when Sibil sir take Indian economy, he is going to take the topic in such a manner it helps you both for the prelims examination and the mains examination. Okay, so that is why we call it as what? An integrated program. Some institute, they first teach for prelims, then they teach for mains. That does not work for civil service. We need to have an integrated program. That is, when we learn a topic, whether it's history, geography, when the faculty takes a topic, it's very important that what? The entire stream need to be what? Covered. Okay, now we provide 700 hours of classes. See, this is one of the highest number in given by any coaching institute. Okay, now why it is important is that a huge majority of you who are coming to this are coming from science backgrounds. Okay, and whether it is polity, whether it is geography, whether it is history, these subjects, you're out of touch of these subjects after your 10th standard. So we want you to systematically progress through the levels and be familiar and expert in all the subjects. So we systematic from zero, we start to the highest degrees that is required to what? Qualify this particular examination. Okay, now this seems to be an exaggeration, but we do have the best faculties in the country. Okay, I'm not saying much about it. After this particular introductory session, our main faculties, okay, not the main faculties, the subjects, the faculties who handle the major subjects, because we don't have time for everyone. The faculties who are handling the major subjects, they are going to directly converse with you regarding the subject and the strategies. Okay, we have the best academic system, and we are very proud of this particular system, because initially, like, when the results come, like, we were like, when the results come, like, before the results, we were very anxious, like whether the result will come or not. But ultimately what we understood is that it's a system that actually what? Transform the student. When someone goes through this particular system of taking classes, taking tests, attending mentorship, answer writing, again taking tests, that system actually what? Transform the student. So that's why, as part of the program, we have regular answer writing practice and regular mains, prelims, and model test series. Okay, and we are happy to say that we are pioneers of the mentorship program. We have mentorship program, and we also give what? Current affairs support through our e-learning platform. Okay, now this platform is available. You can just type iLearn IAS Khana. Okay, and here you will have prelims and mains related current affairs. Okay, also as part of this prelims-cum-mains program, we also provide what? Our prelims test series. Next year, probably around, not next year, this year, probably around November, December, we are going to start prelims test series. Every week you're going to have what? 100 question test, and you will be given feedback and other things. So this is our what? Our prelims-cum-mains program. We have super faculty, we have the mentorship system, we have systematic test. I'll give you some more idea regarding the our weekly schedule shortly. Okay, we have systematic tests. Okay, so this is regarding what? The program. Okay, now some of you are freshers when it comes to this particular UPSC scenario. So I'll just like to give you a rough idea regarding the entire UPSC examination pattern. Okay. Now, as we all know, UPSC examination is done in 3 stages. We have the prelims, mains, and the interview. Prelims every year, UPSC conduct in the month of June. Okay. Now, prelims can be separated into 2 tests. Morning, forenoon, you will have a general studies test, and afternoon, you're going to have what? A CSAT test. Now, general studies, like almost everything comes under general studies. We have history, geography, polity, science and technology, current affairs, environment and ecology, anything and everything UPSC can ask. You have 100 questions, multiple choice question. CSAT, it is similar to like a bank examination. You have reading comprehension. Vaisakh R is going to go into the details of that. You will have reading comprehension, cont, logical reasoning, all those things. It's a qualifying paper, but these days it's becoming what more and more challenging. So when it comes to preliminary examination, you need to qualify CSAT with 33% marks or out of 266 marks. Once you qualify CSAT, then your qualification in the mains examination would be based on what your general studies score. Okay. When it comes to main examination, we have around 9 papers. We have general studies 1, general studies 2, general studies 3, general studies 4, each with 250 marks. We have an essay paper. That essay paper also 250 marks. You will have 2 essays to write. You have optional paper 1 and 2. At iLearn, we provide 4 optionals. We have geography, political science, international relations, sociology, and Malayalam literature. Okay. You can also have what other optionals. Then we have 2 compulsory paper, compulsory English language and compulsory regional language. Okay, these are again just what qualifying papers. You just need to what qualify the English and the regional language. So they are out of 300. All the remaining papers are out of 250. The qualifying papers are out of 300. You need to get 30% marks. That is, if you get 90 marks out of 300, you're going to qualify the compulsory paper. Okay. So that is regarding the mains examination. And finally, we have what the personality test that would be at Delhi. So this is the scheme of the examination. So that is why we provide an integrated program. Our program 100% covers both the prelims as well as the mains aspect. Okay. Now, I'll give a rough idea how our monthly plans go. Okay, let's take into week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Every week you will have what prelims test based on the topics that is taken the previous week. Every week you will have what prelims test. Every week you will have mentorship sessions. That is, we want this examination. Certain things need to be given in a customized manner to each student. Each student is unique. Each student's learning time is different. Each student's revision time is different. So we want someone to help you in this particular process. So someone who have gone through this particular examination, like all our mentors, they have reached till the interview stage. They are going to be with you. The entire class, we are going to divide groups of 15 students, and each group would be allocated a mentor, and each student is going to be given a mentor. And this mentor is going to what? Be with you like a friend, philosopher, and guide throughout this particular examination. So every week you will have a session with your mentors. These mentors will be going through a prelims test and mains test, and they'll be guiding you. As I have said, every week you will have prelims test. Once in 3 weeks, you will have mains test. These mains tests would be evaluated and given by your mentors. The entire classroom program, all the faculties, they're going to put so much emphasis on answer writing, because a lot of effort need to be put in when it comes to what answer writing. And once in a month, you will be having what a one-on-one meeting with your mentors. Even otherwise, you will have what you can contact your mentors throughout the working hours. So we have a very comprehensive, very systematically designed and an integrated approach to the entire program. Okay, so this is the overview regarding our program. Okay, and I can see some doubts and other things that is coming. Definitely towards the end of this particular session, Diasa would be coming. He's our academic manager. He's going to take in all your queries. Okay, so we would be putting all these queries towards the end. Okay, now we are very happy to inform that as part of our 100+ civil servants, okay, we are launching an all India scholarship program. Okay, we would be updating the details of it in our website. So roughly like on 6th June, you can just note down the date. It's 6th June. We would be conducting an all India scholarship test, primarily based on the prelims syllabus of UPSC prelims. Okay, and you can apply to this particular examination in different categories. In open category, we have special scholarship for economically weaker sessions, like bright students who are recommended by the principal of your college, or someone from your municipality, panchayat, or corporation recommends you, you will have special scholarship. Okay, and there is also 100% scholarship that we provide based on merit, that we provide for candidates from ST, SC, differently abled, and the transgender community. Okay, we are providing scholarship worth 1.35 crores. Okay, now one major doubt that everyone is shooting is that, like, this particular examination is on 6th June. So what if we join before that? Don't worry, even if you join to batches before June, once you take starting classes here, you can attend this particular scholarship. If you become eligible for scholarship, we would be providing the scholarship fee. You don't need to worry about that. And it's important that the earlier you can start preparation, the better it would be, because the more the time you have for revision, the more the time you can attend classes, there is a high possibility that your scores can improve. Okay, so we strongly recommend you, don't postpone joining training. Okay, like if your opportunity to join in the April batch, join the April batch. If something is holding up, then you can join the May or June or the other batches. The earlier you start preparation, the better it would be. Okay, now please keep things in mind. So I have one request for the students, as I have earlier said, right? Like coaching for taking admission for civil service is a very important decision in your life. So it's very, 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 very important. It's very, very, very important that we need to make an informed decision. Okay, so I'm not talking this or giving this as a director of this particular institute. I am giving this instruction as your friend. Before you join any coaching institute, including iLearn IAS, please ensure that you look into the following things. Okay, now one is that please do not join an institute merely on advertisements or results. See, when it comes to civil service coaching, it's not difficult to fake results. For example, we have the three stages: prelims, mains, and interview. If a student just passed by one of the institute, whether the institute is in Delhi or any parts, they are going to claim their result. Okay, now what some institute does is that we have the final stage, right? We have the final stage, and what few institute does is that, like, in the final stage, the interview is in Delhi. What few institute does is that they sponsor the travel charges to Delhi and also the accommodation charges, and because of that, they claim the result. So before you join an institute, it's very, 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 very important that you need to talk to the successful candidates. You need to talk to them, what coaching they did, where, how did that particular coaching institute help you. So meet as many successful candidates before you can join an institute. And when you join an institute, ensure that the institute has produced successful candidates. That is regarding the second point: meet successful candidates and other aspirants who have taken coaching from that particular institute. Third point: freshers should make sure that the institute is following an integrated program. Okay, don't join an institute that say that they'll take prelims first and they might give 10,000 rupees discount. Don't do that. Civil service coaching should be in an integrated manner. Otherwise, it's not going to help you. Okay. Third thing: do not join based on any single person's advice. It's very important. This is a very, 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 very important decision in your life. So it's very important that you need to take this particular call after discussing with multiple people. Now, as I've said, each individual is unique. Each individual is unique. So since each individual is unique, it's very important that each individual get a customized training. So it's very important that in the institute system, you need to ensure that each student gets a personalized mentorship, personalized support. Like, you might be one among 400 students who is attending the classes. That will not help you. You need support for mains. You need support for prelims. You need continuous feedback. So it's very important that you need to look into whether you're getting personal attention. And the most important thing is that there should be regular prelims as well as mains test series. Because when it comes to prelims, it's not only about knowledge. Equally important is that we need to master something called an elimination approach, a lateral thinking approach. We need to able to, so that we can only develop by solving more and more questions. Okay, similarly, Most of you might be from a non-humanities background. So in engineering or medicine, like you might be dealing with a lot of equations and other things. So when it comes to mains, it's very important. If you have an idea in your mind, you should be able to present it in a systematic manner. So that is how mains test you. So you should be good in writing answers. So when you join an institute, ensure that they conduct what systematic prelims and mains test. Okay. Now please keep these things into mind. Now, what I have told you before, like when you're joining institute, you should know who is going to teach you. So that is where we are going to our next segment. In this next segment, what we'll be doing is that we will be introducing you to our faculties who are going to take classes to you. Okay. So all the best. Hope I, as a faculty, I'll be taking ethics for you. I'll be coming back again. Okay. Hope to see every one of you in the coming year. Okay. Next, I would like to hand over to Nikhil sir. Okay. He is my fellow director. Nikhil sir would be giving you an orientation regarding the Indian and the world geography. Okay. So if you have any doubts, like I'll be also looking through the questions. If you have any doubts, we will definitely help you. Okay. Now please keep in your mind, this is a very, very important that you need to take in your life. Okay. Spend time, research institute, research with the candidates who have taken classes from there before you take the decision in your life. Okay. All the best. All the best. Thank you. So next, I would like to invite Nikhil sir.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nikhil. I would be teaching geography for you. Now, before starting this subject, before getting into details of geography, I would like to share something with you. In the last 2-3 days, I was getting so many messages from the aspirants. Like one common message, one common question which I got is, sir, I'm not from a very good academic background, whether I'll be able to clear civil services. I have scored only 60% in my plus two or degree. So whether I'll be able to clear the civil services. So this was actually the question which I got it in the last 2-3 days when I interacted with many aspirants, aspirants regarding the workshop. Now, one thing which I want to actually convey is civil service examination. With respect to civil service examination, anyone can actually clear this particular examination. This examination is not about not about your marks which you have scored in 10th, plus 2 or a degree. Anyone can actually clear this particular examination. Trust me, I have actually seen aspirants in the last 7-8 years from different academic backgrounds. You have not scored like well with respect to a degree or plus 2 or 10th standard. So marks you have scored has nothing to do with this particular examination. So it's basically, as TJ sir has told you, it's basically this examination. The most important thing which I would share, or which I say, is it is in this examination you should be having that consistency in your preparation. Now most of the time what happens is people will start the preparation with very high motivation, and what happens is slowly what happens is there will be some what in the meantime, or once the preparation starts, then what happens is, like, most of the people, not most of the people, at least a few people, they'll actually start focusing on other examination along with civil service examination. So this examination is something like which you need what is focus in the sense your approach should be focused. So that is one thing, and you should be very patient in the sense this examination itself takes 1 year. That entire process is actually taking 1 year, and you have your preparation actually requires actually before the examination process, you will be an aspirant would be preparing for another 1 year. So it's actually it's a very time consuming process. You have to be very patient, and you have to consistently, or you have to be motivated all throughout your preparation. So that perseverance is one of the most important factor. It is not the marks you have scored in your degree or +2, it doesn't matter at all. Anyone with any academic background can easily clear this examination, right? So this is one thing I thought, like, I would be sharing with you all, because this is one question, as I told you, I actually got this question from many aspirants in the last 2-3 days, right? Now coming to geography as the subject. Now this particular subject, if I talk about this particular subject, this subject is very important for prelims as well as in mains. In prelims examination, we can actually expect 20 to 30 marks from this particular subject. And in the mains examination, this paper comes in general studies paper 1, and it's like 100 to 120 marks you can expect from this particular subject. Now, geography is a subject, as you know, geography is it's not an art subject, it's a semi-scientific subject. So what is the approach? So in the next 10 minutes, I would be more interested in talking about what should be your approach with respect to this particular subject from civil service examination point of view. Now, if I talk about this particular subject or any subject, okay, this what TJ sir might have actually told you, the preparation approach. So this particular subject, if I could talk about this particular subject or any subject with respect to civil service examination, it is more oriented towards not mugging up the facts and figures. It is basically an analysis which you need to do with respect to all the subjects, with respect to current affairs, with respect to any issues, etc. So like that, this subject also require like an analytical approach. That means geography, if I talk about, it's a semi-scientific subject, and the approach should be logical. So one thing which I want to tell you is, this subject has got overlapping with environment. This subject has got overlapping with international relations. So if you have a very good basic understanding regarding this particular subject, that will definitely help you to make the subjects like environment or international relation, thus preparation, which much easier, right? So this is the first two things which I want to actually tell you. Now, next thing is, now, if I talk about the subject matter of geography, geography has got a physical geography and human geography. Physical geography is something like we are actually talking about the Earth's surface. What is there on the Earth's surface? We'll be talking about land, water, climate, as well as the biosphere. So it is basically talking about, suppose like if you open up the map of world, you can see different features like mountains, plateaus, plains, valleys, deltas, etc. So studying about these on land, plus studying about the features in ocean, and also the studying about the climate, and studying about the different vegetation, soil. So that is actually the physical geography. So it is basically studying about the important physiographic feature on the map of world. That is what we call it as physical geography. Now, if I talk about the human geography, it is more into human activities. It is basically the study of man environment interaction. So man-environment interaction, in the sense man started occupying on the earth's surface, and man started agricultural activities. Man started exploring so many mineral resources, energy resources. Man started setting up of industries. We constructed roadways, we constructed infrastructure, we constructed transportation. So basically, it's about all the human settlement which happened on the earth's surface. That will actually the interaction between the man and environment. So that is what is actually the human geography. Now, one thing which I want to tell you regarding this is, it is basically, I told you, the approach which we'll be following regarding this particular subject from civil service examination point of view is, it is basically you need to have a very logical understanding. Most of you might have actually studied geography in your 10th standard or 12th standard. On, I think 80%, 90% you might have studied in your 10th standard, right? So what we actually most, I have seen so many what students studying in 10th standard with respect to this particular subject, they actually started mugging up of like what the names of mountains, plateaus, etc., without understanding, without a proper logical understanding. For example, I would say it is basically, suppose all of us actually know about Himalayas. Himalayas are young fold mountains. So what we have actually done is, maybe in our school days, we might have prepared a list of different types of mountains, young fold mountains, and we might have actually started mugging up the names of these mountains, or names of these mountains, plateaus, etc. Right. So this civil service examination, it is not that particular approach won't work. In this particular examination, for example, Himalayas are young fold mountain. You have a particular reason behind why it is young mountain, why it is old mountain. If you understand that particular logic behind why a particular mountain is young, why a particular mountain is fold, then it's very easy for us to retain the information. Because I told you, you are actually preparing 1 year before the examination, and every day you are actually bombarded with information. So most important thing is, we have to retain the information, and then only we'll be actually able to get the best result out of it. So how to retain the information? If you have done a logical understanding, if you have done an analytical approach with respect to studying subjects from civil service examination point of view, that will definitely help us to retain the information in the examination hall. So that kind of approach that we'll be actually doing in learning this particular subject. So we have like physical geography and human geography, and we have to study physical and human geography from world perspective as well as from the Indian perspective. Now, if I talk about our teaching method, so one thing, if I analyze the type of questions which have been asked in the last 10 years with respect to this particular subject, it's basically very concept-based question. Now, if you actually go through the question paper, all the question papers are available on the UPSC website. If you actually go through the question paper, you can actually see that. And if you see the geography question, most of the questions might be very familiar to you. You might have actually studied most of the things in your 10th standard, or the in your +1 or +2. So but the thing is, like, UPSC actually frames the question in such a way that an aspirant with a very good conceptual clarity, a very good basic understanding, he or she will be able to answer those particular questions, right? So conceptual clarity is very important. So we'll be actually starting our class or studying geography from the very base level. I can actually say that from the 0 level. Then we'll start talking about the different concepts related to land, water, climate, etc. So from the very basic understanding, we'll be actually using the reference book as NCRT, and so that particular reference book NCRT, and the concept will be done with the help of logic, as well as the different with the help of map, because map study is something which is very important from geography perspective. Because the questions, if you see the questions which has been asked in the examination, the questions are there related to map as well. So the teaching methodology is something like, we'll have a logical understanding regarding the subject, and we'll cover the entire world map as well as Indian map, because it is very important for especially for the prelims examination. Now, after each module, so what I'll be doing is, I'll be giving you questions, I'll be discussing your questions with respect to the previous year prelims as well as mains. And with respect to the mains, I'll be actually giving you questions with special focus on answer writing as well as the current affairs, because current affairs also plays an important role with respect to this particular subject. For example, like the examiner might ask you the different disasters which has been asked in the different parts of world, different parts of India. So aspirants should have the knowledge, the contemporary knowledge regarding a particular phenomenon. So along with that particular topic itself, we'll do the previous year prelims question, we'll do the previous year mains question, and also we'll do the current affairs associated with that particular topic. So another thing is, I told you the questions are highly conceptual in nature. The options might be tricky, so you should have a conceptual clarity. So that is our primary focus. So building the basics. So we'll actually focus on the foundation in the beginning, in the first few classes, and slowly we'll actually build on different concepts with that particular foundation. And also, I've already told you, it's basically map-based questions are also there from geography, from prelims, especially for the prelims. These questions can be like the different features which you see on the map, or these questions can be related to the current affairs part also, so that everything will be covered as a part of the class. Now, these are the book list as far as geography is concerned. It's about NCERT, class 11th and class 12th NCERT. Now, one question I used to get it from the different, from the aspirants is whether I have to read NCERT from class 6 to class 12. So my answer is, if you ask me that particular question with respect to geography, I would say like, no. It is basically, I told you, the most important thing is you should have conceptual clarity. That is more important. If you start reading 11th class and 12th class, so I'm not asking you to read it before the class. You attend the class, then read it. If you start reading now 11th class and 12th class in CRT, the concepts you actually seems to be very difficult for you. So what you can do is, don't do anything right now. You attend the class, and after the class, what you can do is, I'll tell you this chapter of NCERT, you read after the class, you do that, plus lecture notes will be there, handouts will be given. So what you can do is, like, if once you start, suppose you read a particular topic, for example, you read about earthquake from class 11th NCERT. Now what you can actually, like, suppose if you are not understanding that particular concept, then you can actually go back to lower class NCERT and understand that particular concept, have the conceptual clarity, come back and read 11th class NCERT. So you don't have to actually read it from 6th class to 12th class. So it is 11th, 12th class NCERT is fine. But if you have like some confusions, if you don't understand some concept with respect to 11th and 12th class NCERT, what you can actually read is, you can go back to lower class NCERT, understand the concept, have the basic conceptual clarity, and then have the basic conceptual clarity, and then come back and continue reading 11th, 12th class NCERT. And also the first class onwards, we'll be actually doing our study with respect to the map itself. So everyone has to get an atlas. We prefer Oxford Student Atlas. Okay, so that has to be done along with the class. Plus, apart from this, iLearn IAS notes, the handouts or lecture notes, this would be fine with respect to what the geography, as far as geography is concerned. So I hope you might have got an idea regarding like the geography from prelims as well as mains perspective. So I hope to meet you in the class. So next I would like to invite the another director of iLearn, Mr. Mohammed Shinas. Sir will actually talk to you about Indian polity. Thank you.
Welcome to all of you. Now, I will be discussing with respect to Indian polity. When it comes to GS2, Indian polity is one of the most important topic that a civil service aspirant should be studying. So, what is there in Indian polity to study? You might have already understood that UPSC has divided the general studies papers into four: GS 1, 2, 3, and 4. And GS 2 contains Indian polity, social justice, governance, as well as international relations. Among GS2, Indian polity is one of the most important topic that every aspirant should study. When it comes to prelims as well as mains, Indian polity plays an important role. Now, let's understand the syllabus with respect to Indian polity. The GS2 syllabus predominantly consists of, with respect to Indian polity, the Indian Constitution, where we are trying to understand the historical underpinnings, how it got evolved, what are the various features, the amendments, the various provisions, the concept of basic structure, etc. Along with that, we are supposed to understand about the union and the state, the various functions and the responsibilities, how there are issues between union and the states and how we resolve those issues. What is the federal structure of our country? Is India a true federal country? It's we identify ourselves as a quasi-federal or a cooperative federal, or what is the idea of competitive federalism? All these are something that we will be studying while we're trying to understand the relationship between the union and the state. Similarly, we will be studying about the devolution of powers and finances between the three structures and three tiers of the government. That is the central government, the state government, as well as the local self-government. Similarly, we will also try to understand the concept of separation of powers. The three organs of the government are actually the judiciary on one side, then we have the legislature, and we have the executive. It is believed that strict separation of power between them would be an ideal form of government. But despite what we have in US, in Indian political system doesn't go for a strict separation of power. So what is the separation of powers between these three entities of government? How do they resolve issues between them? What are the different institutions for that? Then we also study about the constitutional structure of our country and we'll compare it with the constitutional structures of various other countries. What are the features that we got inspired from the American Constitution or from the British political system or from the Canadian Constitution? Now we try to understand by comparing Indian Constitution with the Constitution of other countries. Similarly, we will also understand about the legislature or the lawmaking entity. The legislature or the lawmaking entity is the one who makes laws and policies for the country. So we try to understand the structure, the functions, how the business are conducted, what are the powers and privileges, and what are the issues out of this. So we try to understand in its full what do you mean by parliament or also the state legislature. Similarly, we try to understand the structure, organization, and functioning of the executive, the idea of council of ministers, the idea of president at the top. Then we have the council of minister who is headed by the prime minister. What is the relationship between the president and the council of ministers? Similarly, we also try to understand the structure, the organization, and functioning of the judiciary. Because judiciary is a very crucial element when it comes to in an Indian political system. So we try to understand now how the judiciary is structured. We have an integrated and independent judiciary with Supreme Court at the top, followed by the High Court, followed by the subordinate courts. Similarly, other than these institutions, we have certain formal and informal associations, pressure groups, etc. So how do pressure groups involve in our political system? What is their role? How do pressure groups bring about changes? Then we try to understand about the various pressure groups, various informal formal association, and how it brings about its own policies into governmental structure. Similarly, one of the most important features of Indian political system is the periodic elections. You know that like in many states now, election is being held or is being scheduled to be held. So what is the basis on which we conduct the election? We have passed the Representation of People's Act in 1950 and 1951, on the basis of which we conduct the election procedure. So we try to understand the salient features of the Representation of People's Act. Similarly, We also try, I mean, there are various constitutional, non-constitutional, and other bodies. So we try to understand about these constitutional bodies, along with the constitutional bodies, the non-constitutional bodies. And the non-constitutional bodies are again subdivided into statutory bodies and non-statutory bodies. We try to understand what are the powers, what are the functions, what are the responsibilities of these bodies, and what would happen when we identify a body as a constitutional body. Very recently, National Commission for Backward Classes was actually, which was earlier a statutory body, was identified as a constitutional body. So what changes was brought in by identifying National Commission for National Commission for Backward Classes as a constitutional body? What changes would happen if you are changing the National Commission for Women as a constitutional body? Would it bring in more gender empowerment in our country? So we try to analyze it from that perspective. Along with that, we'll also looking into various statutory, regulatory, and other quasi-judicial body. So these consist of the syllabus for Indian polity. This is one of the most important topic when it comes to the study. Okay, there are on an average about 15 to 20 questions that arises in prelims from Indian polity. Now, we will have a small analysis about the number of questions that is being asked in the prelims. Let's see. You can see that over the years, there has been an average 13 to 15 questions that comes from Indian polity region. In 2017, there was actually 22 questions. So that means that if you studied Indian polity well, understood the concept of Indian polity well, you could have scored nearly 44 marks over there itself. So this is a very crucial subject when it comes to the prelims. You will have plenty of questions with respect to Indian polity. There is a secret. The secret is that out of this 15 or 20 questions that UPSC asks for Indian polity, we can actually get almost all the questions correct. That means the possibility of getting correct answers for Indian polity is much high when compared to other subjects, because we are putting a lot of effort in Indian polity to understand the concepts, and the questions asked are in that manner that a proper study and understanding about the syllabus will help you to get more number of correct answers. Now, what about the mains? When it comes to mains, you can see that for the last 3 years, 50% of the mark asked in GS2 was from Indian polity. That means out of 250, 125 mark was from Indian polity. That's a crucial element of mark, right? I mean, crucial chunk of mark that we get from Indian polity. So, understanding and studying Indian polity, not only from a prelims perspective, but also from a mains perspective, actually helps a student to get quality marks in GS2. Along with that, we have governance and social justice. These are actually connected topics. We try to understand how the governmental system functions, how e-governance is actually brought in, what all changes can be brought in through implementation of e-governance. And also we try to understand the various governance mechanisms that is available for for implementing various governmental schemes. The government is actually introducing multiple schemes for vulnerable sections. What are the features of schemes? What are the advantages? How effectively can we make these schemes? So we try to understand these from the perspective of From the perspective of the vulnerable sections also. So Indian polity, along with along with the governance as well as social justice, would actually ensure that you are scoring good marks in GS2. So not only in prelims, but also in mains, polity, along with governance and social justice, plays a very crucial role. Now, everybody has a doubt with respect to what should be the strategy that one should have for Indian polity. Now, let's discuss our strategy. See, the most important thing that one should understand is that what to read, when to read, how to read. So, what to read? Okay. So, the basic textbook identified for Indian polity is Lakshmikant. But reading Lakshmikant alone is not sufficient. So, the fundamental reference for any aspirant for Indian polity should be the Constitution itself. So, I would want every student to actually download the Constitution as an app or in PDF format and try to read the Constitution and to understand it, at least the first 51 articles. That will give a better clarity for the student with respect to those provisions. So based on your understanding about the actual Constitution, reading Lakshmikant would become a piece of cake for you. So constitution, the actual constitution is important. Lakshmikant is important. Now, what else is important for Indian polity? Indian polity is such a dynamic topic that current affairs plays a very crucial role over here. For example, very recently, a bill is actually being discussed in the House and being passed in the House, in the Parliament, with respect to the National Capital Territory, Delhi. The Lieutenant Governor of Delhi is to be identified as the government of Delhi, not the elected government. So there has been a lot of protests with respect to that. So what are the provisions of that particular act or particular bill? And what are the issues with respect to that bill? What is the objective of bringing such a bill? So we need to understand things from a very dynamic nature, or in other words, current affairs plays a very crucial role when it comes to the preparation of Indian polity. So therefore, understanding the fundamentals, along with understanding the basic, the day-to-day current events will actually help you to score good marks for Indian polity. So our strategy would be to first of all understand the basic constitution, then read Indian polity by Lakshmikant continuously. Okay. Now students normally raise a question, sir, what about NCERT for Indian polity? Is it not important? It is important, but don't try to read at the very first step itself, because Lakshmikant is written in a very lucid manner, and if you have a proper class to understand it, it will actually help you to understand the constitution and the Indian polity chapters in Lakshmikant. Along with that, once a brief understanding is obtained for you, then you read NCERT. Because if you're trying to read NCERT at first, the time taken to understand that NCERT would be much higher than the time taken once you have attended the classes. So I will always suggest my student to read NCERT, but not at the beginning, but before the revision. Because that actually helps the student to get marks on NCERT questions about Indian polity. At the same time, not to waste too much of time with respect to NCERT. So our strategy would be to have fundamentals very thorough. Along with that, bring in current affairs so that it helps you to get maximum marks for GS2. Current affairs do play a very important role when it comes to Indian polity. Everything that you read with respect to parliament, the election, the various bills that is being brought in with respect to citizenship, all these can actually be asked in UPSC examination. So a current understanding would definitely help to score good marks if you have a proper foundation with respect to Indian polity. In iLearn, we ensure that your fundamentals with respect to Indian polity is very thorough, so that once you read a particular news article, that will, you yourself will be actually able to understand its pros and cons and to bring in those points into the answer sheets. So that would actually help a lot to score very excellent marks in GS2. Now, my colleague would actually continue the discussion. So he will actually discuss with respect to Indian economy.
Hi everyone, my name is Sibil, and I'm going to deal with the basic economics when it comes to that of Civil Services. So here I would like to discuss a few things about economics, like what exactly is UPSC expecting from the subject economics. I'll also be discussing the various topics that is required for economics when it comes to that of prelims, as well as when it comes to that of the mains topics. So basically, when it comes to economics, you need to understand that it is divided into two. That is basic economics as well as economic development. Now, in case of basic economics, we'll be discussing about the syllabus here. Now, according to UPSC, they have given you the syllabus that is economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographic, social sector initiative. This is the one-liner that is given by UPSC when it comes to that of the subject or the syllabus for basic economics. But based on the questions that UPSC have asked in the previous years, based on the subdivision of these topics, we have carved out a particular set of topics that is required for you to prepare when it comes to economics. So basically, first I'll start with the basic economics topics. Now, in basic economics, we are going to deal with these 8 topics. And these 8 topics are, somewhat familiar, or it will be familiar to you, because these are the things that is widely discussed in the news, that you see around, that you hear a lot in the news, right? So basically, first is national income. Now, what is national income? National income is basically, you might have heard about GDP, right? Gross domestic production. You might have heard about GDP is increasing or GDP is decreasing, right? You might have heard about opposition and the ruling party fighting over the GDP numbers. So these are the things that, these are not exactly things, but we'll be discussing about the concepts related to GDP, how we calculate GDP, right? What are the factors that affect the growth or decrease in that of GDP. So such kind of things will be discussed in the national income chapter. Then we'll be discussing about the budget process, right? What is budget? What does budget exactly deal with? Right? Government has a lot of things to spend on, right? Government gets a lot of income in the way of taxes. So we'll be dealing with the kind of income that government get, whatever income or whatever expenditure that the government will be making for various things, like that of infrastructure development, like that of law and order. So all those aspects will be covered, and some of the important concepts related to that of fiscal policy, like that of fiscal deficit, which was quite oftenly seen in news. So such kind of concepts will also be discussed as part of fiscal policy. Then we'll have to discuss about inflation, which is a hot topic, a burning issue in our country. We are always worried about rising prices, right? Whether it is oil, whether it is food, whether it is any other commodity that we consume, we are always worried about inflation. And that will also be a major topic for us, like why inflation is happening, what are the reasons behind inflation, is it a natural process, or is there some other factors that is responsible for rising prices, right? So basically, with these 3 topics that I've discussed already, you know that these are the things that you are familiar with and you experience on a day-to-day basis, right? These are all things that affect you. So in economics, we are going to learn about things that you see around you, that you experience, that also influences your various decision making also, right? Whether to consume, whether to use private vehicle or whether to use public transport is related to that of the rising prices of petroleum, right? So all these aspects that we are going to deal in the class can be easily connected to your day-to-day life, so that understanding these concepts become very easy. From there, we'll also be discussing about RBI. You might have heard about Reserve Bank of India. You might have heard in the newspaper about Reserve Bank increasing the rate, decreasing the rate. We are trying to increase money supply. We are trying to reduce money supply, right? So those kind of things, like what is the big deal about these rates? Okay, how does it affect us? Why is it considered very important? Like all the newspapers, all the media is focusing on RBI's policy rates. So we have to understand that as well. Now, something that is like, there are a lot of things out there where you and I are familiar with those terms and those topics, but we do not know what exactly is the reason for the interest rates, the reason for inflation, reason for the deficits and fiscal policy. I'm sorry, sir. There was yeah. So as I was discussing, when it comes to that of banking, we know that there are a lot of issues that is currently going on with the banks. There are issues related to that of non-performing assets, right? Non-performing assets of our banks are increasing. Every other day, new type of bank is coming up. So we are also, quite, familiar with what is happening with the banking sector, but we'll be focusing on as usual, the causes of such kind of things, right? Now, then we'll have to discuss about taxation, and there we'll be focusing on different types of taxes that government collect. You know that government is collecting a lot of taxes, including income taxes, right? We have GST, which is very famous, which is the recent reform that was brought in by the government. We need to understand whether GST is beneficial for our economy. What are the kind of opportunities? What are the kind of promises that it gives to our economy, right? There are certain issues related to its collection. So all these things will be covered in taxation chapter. Then we'll be discussing about the international trade. We do a lot of trade with other countries. We do trade with, the Middle East, the America, Europe. So we'll be trying out to understand the differences, like how much are we exporting, how much are we importing. Now, what is the problem with increasing imports that India is making, right? How does it affect? Then you might be familiar with that of the exchange rate, right? What is exchange rate, right? You see that $1 is equal to 75 on one day. On the other day, you can see that $1 becomes 72 or 73. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it comes down. So you will be confused, right? Like, why is dollar and rupee, that conversion is keeping on changing on a daily basis or on a minute by minute basis? So we'll understand how this changes, what are the factors that is actually playing around when it changes, right? When it increases or decreases, what are its impact on India and Indian economy, right? So those kind of aspects will be covered in the external sector chapter. And finally, we have financial markets, which deals with, you might have heard about stock market, right? So what is stock market? What is it actually doing, right? You might have heard about mutual funds. So what is mutual fund? You might have heard about various loans, bonds, etc. See, all these things are actually used by the government and the companies in our country in order to raise funds for their expansion, for their working, etc. So we'll be learning about financial market, which is used to raise money, and different components of financial market that is utilized by government as well as the private companies in order to raise money for their activities. Is it clear? So these are the simple 8 topics, which is much more related to our everyday life. Most of these things you will be familiar with. And if you are not familiar with, don't worry about it. Because one common issue that I found mostly among the students is, if suppose you are from non-economics background, you consider economics as something as, like, kind of an Himalayan task. Like, you feel that you'll not be able to understand the concepts. You build that perception, you build that particular belief that economics is something which is difficult for you. Before even attending the classes, you will develop this feeling. And as a result, you will always approach economics with fear, right? With some kind of, confusion, with some kind of doubt. So what I ask you to do is keep all these kind of perceptions and, prejudices aside, and understand that UPSC has created this examination for all students from all backgrounds and streams to participate, right? UPSC don't want to keep a group of students out of this examination. They want everyone to include in it. They want everyone to take this exam, right? So that means when they design the syllabus of this exam, that will be inclusive, right? That should include all students from different background, different streams. So the syllabus is arranged in a manner that whatever is mentioned in the syllabus can be easily studied by students from all backgrounds. Now, take an example. I myself is a commerce student. So whatever portions are there in science and technology, whatever portions there are in environment and, basic science, initially I thought that it is not my cup of tea, because I'm not at all used to science, because I studied science only till 10th standard. But when I started studying these concepts, I understood that UPSC is expecting very less from us. Like, it is like you just have to study till that of the 12th standard level at max, not beyond that. Clear? So For economics also, you need to understand UPSC is not going to test your in-depth knowledge in economics. They want you to just understand the basic economic concepts that can even be studied by a student from 10th standard or 11th standard or 12th standard. Not or nothing much more than that. Clear? So keep aside all your prejudices, keep aside all these kind of misperception, and do approach economy with an open mind. Clear? Now, what I do from my part in order to make it more interesting and in order to, get that concepts into your, brain is we do multiple approaches. Okay. So basically, when it comes to the overall approach in economics, you need to understand, especially in basic economics, we have to understand concepts because UPSC is going to test your conceptual understanding of economics, nothing more than that. Okay, they don't want you to be masters in economics. They just want to understand, or they will just be checking whether you know the basic concepts of economics. Now, for you to understand it, first thing is I've prepared, a comprehensive interactive slideshow where I've added much more examples, infographics, diagrams, so that by looking into those slides and by attending the lecture, these concepts become concrete and you will find it very simple to understand the concepts. So I've already mentioned that all the topics that we have discussed is, it is related to your day-to-day life, right? These are things that you are exposed to, right? You are exposed to taxes, you are exposed to that of inflation, right? So by adding these kind of infographics, examples and all, it becomes easy for you to understand, especially because I try to connect it with certain relatable examples, right? In your daily life, right? Your day-to-day life. So the process becomes easy and you will be able to understand the concepts through your practical life. And as a result, these concepts become very much concrete and you won't find it a problem to understand these concepts. Clear? Apart from that, we have to understand the demand of UPSC, right? Merely having some knowledge and conceptual understanding will not do the job. We have to understand what UPSC is expecting from us. For that, what we need to do is we have to go through the previous year question paper. Like whatever questions that UPSC have asked in the last 10 years can be a guide for us. We'll be able to understand in what way, what are the trends in which UPSC is asking questions. Now, based on that, I'll tell you that around 15 questions are asked by UPSC every year from basic economics. Now, through that, what I'll do is I'll help you analyze these questions. I'll also help you to understand whether you are able to use this or apply this concept in the question paper, right? So you have the concepts, you will have conceptual clarity. We'll take question paper and we'll try to apply these concepts into the question paper so that we'll be able to understand whether you are able to get to the right answer by using these concepts. So it does an integrated approach when it comes to that of basic economics, where first we understand the concepts, we relate it with the practical life, we'll try to apply it in the question paper and see whether it is creating optimum results or efficient results for us. Now, if there are certain problems in getting that kind of results, then no worries, we'll have one-on-one doubt clearance. So after the class hours, I'll be available in iLearn. You can approach me. We'll have a discussion on the areas where you have some doubts. We'll clarify it. And I'll, from my part, ensure that you will be having thorough understanding of all these concepts. Now, when it comes to that of economic development, which is for the mains. Now here, our approach will be completely different. For mains, for prelims, I mentioned that we'll be focusing on the conceptual clarity, which you have to use it for your prelims. Now, when it comes to mains, our focus will be on the analytical aspect. Our focus will be on writing answers, right? Now, when you look into the topics that is listed in the syllabus by UPSC when it comes to economic development, the topics are like the issues related to that of planning, growth, development, employment, the usual stuff related to an economy. Then inclusive growth, what is inclusive growth? What are the different components of it? Then when it comes to that of the next topic, it is government budgeting, right? What is the budgeting process? What will be done there? The next is related to that of the major crops cropping patterns, the irrigation system, the marketing system, right? So everything related to agriculture. Then we have issues related to that of the industrial growth, right? What is industrial growth? What is infrastructure development? What are the different investment models? So broadly, I'm not going through the details of each and everything because we have a lot of time to discuss all these aspects. Largely, you can say that we have to focus on agriculture, we have to focus on infrastructure, then we have to focus on growth, and growth can be divided into inclusive growth and the normal employment and all those stuff. Then finally, we have to also discuss about the investments. So these are the broader classification of the economic development syllabus. Now, how do we approach economic development, especially for mains? Now, first thing I will tell you is, in economic development classes, I'll be putting forward various concepts, various issues that is there in agriculture. Like, do we require land reforms? Do we require this farm bill? Is it necessary? What are the kinds of reforms that we have to bring in agriculture? We'll be debating, we'll be discussing, and we'll be, kind of going in depth into these kind of things. Now, in depth doesn't mean that the factual kind of thing, but the analytical aspect. Clear? So based on our discussions in the class, based on the debates that we have in the class, apart from that, what I'll do is, why are we actually studying economic development? Is it to gain maximum knowledge in economic development? No. Our purpose here is to clear mains, right? So for mains, what is more important is answer writing practice. So our entire classes will have an extra emphasis, or you can say that most of our focus will be on using the content that we have studied in the class through our discussions and debates into an answer, how you can actually present it, how you can structure these content, what kind of value additions that you have to bring into your answers, right? For that matter, what I'll do is I'll bring some mind maps and frameworks. Now, in mind maps and frameworks, I'll be giving you so many dimensions that you can use in your answer. And one thing that I'll tell you is, you will not be, well versed with that of what is frameworks and all. That we'll have, that we'll have to discuss for another 30 minutes to make you understand that. See, basically what I do is, I give you a lot of dimensions. Now, these dimensions will be common for a set of topic. As a result, if UPSC suppose ask a question from that topic, you can go through this framework, you can go through these dimensions, and you can bring maximum number of points in your answer. Now, one thing you need to understand is, most of the students who say that they are not able to complete their mains paper on time is not because their answer writing is slow. It is mostly because they spend a lot of time trying to gather different points into their paper. Because ultimately, mains is all about consolidating the information that you have gathered from different sources and materials. Now, this framework will help you consolidate that in a second or maybe like in a very less time. So that is the importance of having frameworks, and that we'll be discussing. Now, another thing is, we have to bring maximum uniqueness and value addition to our answer. And for that, I'll be giving you statistics. Not, I'll not be burdening with lots of statistics, like hundreds or, even 500s of them. I'll give you a handful of statistics that you can use in your answer to enhance the quality of your answer. As well as, I'll be giving you certain examples that can be used to substantiate your point. Clear? Now, let's take an example. Okay. Now, you're writing a point, and your point is, most of the subsidies that government provide in India is not going to the beneficiaries. Now, if you write a point like this is too much, a general point, right? Everyone can say that. And you are not going to fetch good marks if you write your points like this. Now, in case, if you are able to add one more line where you are discussing the statistics, you say that 50% of the subsidies that are provided by government is not reaching the actual beneficiary of that subsidy, then your point becomes more substantiated, your points become more credible in nature. Such kind of value addition should be focused when it comes to that of economic development. So that will also be dealt in the class. Clear? So I hope I was actually able to convey the approach, what we are going to do in the class, and how we'll be proceeding with the basic economics as well as the economic development. Hope to see you all in the class. Take care, everyone. So next session will be by my colleague Aravind, who will be dealing with that of environment.
Okay, good evening all. Hope you have got enough insight from previous subjects taken by my colleagues here in iLearn. So myself, Aravind, I'll be taking both these subjects which you can see on your screen, environment ecology and science and technology. Okay, so before getting into these two topics, I'll be discussing the very basic things regarding environment ecology and science and technology, which is in which GS papers do these environment and ecology or science and technology comes in. So it is in GS paper 3. There are 4 different general studies paper, and within which in GS paper 3, these 2 subjects come in, both environment and science and technology, and both the subjects will be taken by me. Okay. So pause for a moment. Let me share the screen for you. So I hope you can see the screen now, right? So once again, I'll be taking these 2 subjects, environment ecology and science and technology. So before getting into really this topic, I would like to introduce you these 2 subjects. So these 2 subjects comes in GS paper 3, and in GS paper 3, there are many other subjects like disaster management, internal security, and among those subjects, these are 2 major important subjects in GS paper 3. So it will be better how much these two subjects can give you returns if we invest enough time in these two subjects. So a better approach would be analyzing previous year question paper, so that we can know, or we can understand what would be the number of questions we'll be asking from these two subjects. So I'll show you the number of questions asking from these two subjects. First, it would be environment. So this is an analysis of previous 10 years question paper of environment and ecology asked by UPSC. So if you can, if you analyze the question paper, if you can analyze the graph given here in this slide, it will be knowing that there will be around 15 to 16 questions every year from environment and ecology alone, which means roughly around 30 marks. 30 marks in prelims. This is a number of questions asked in prelims. And if you take the number of questions asked in mains, it will be around 3 to 4 questions. So I would say 70% this particular subject is important for prelims, and 30% it will be important for mains, because in mains out of 250, you'll be getting around 30 to 40 marks from environment. So as the case regarding science and technology. So if you take the number of questions in science and technology, you can see like roughly around 14 to 50 questions, which I've been asking by UPSC every year. And in 2020 also, last year's prelims also, you can see they were around 16 questions from UPSC, I mean science and technology. And same is the case with the science and technology, which is in mains also, there will be around 3 to 4 questions every year. So if you compare both the subjects, UPSC will be asking like 15 to 16 questions, or roughly 15 questions in prelims and 3 to 4 questions in mains. So on an average, we can make a ratio such that 70% of these two subjects is important for prelims and 30% is important for mains. So combining these 15 questions from S&T and environment, will be getting around 30 questions from both these two subjects, which makes up to 60 marks, without which we won't be able to clear our prelims. So it will be better, or it is very important to invest our time sufficiently in both these two subjects. Getting it? So this is the return on investment from these two subjects. Now we have to identify or understand the syllabus of these two subjects. If and only if we analyze the playing ground, that is our syllabus, we'll be able to crack, or we will be able to deal with the questions. So going for the syllabus, this is the syllabus for environment and ecology. Hope you have understand. So this is the syllabus for environment ecology. And if you look at the syllabus, we can barely see two simple lines. The first one is being general issues on environment ecology, and second one is being conservation and environmental pollution, and like that of topics. So this is roughly a syllabus, and there is not a coherent, comprehensive syllabus in environment and ecology. And we have to derive our own topics, so that we have to prepare upon environment. And this is the one thing which makes environment a really tough subject, because syllabus is highly scattered, syllabus is highly diversified, and syllabus is highly general. So we have to make our own topics. We have to focus on some important areas, so that we won't deviate from our subject. So that is regarding the syllabus of environment. So hope you have identified a word here, general issues on environment ecology, which is the most important word. Many of the aspirants who will be studying environment will try to skip that word. And general issues means it can be anything. So they'll be solely focusing on the words given in the syllabus, but do not try to make that mistake. We have to analyze each and every general issues happening around us, be it pollution, be it biodegradation, be it deforestation, be it global warming. We have to analyze it thoroughly in order to tackle the question both in prelims and mains. So if you have understood the syllabus of environment ecology, now I'll show you the syllabus of science and technology. So this is briefly the syllabus of science and technology, not exactly the lines given by UPSC, but I've arranged the syllabus into 5 different sections. So first one, the achievements of Indians in science and technology. This is the very first line of science and technology in UPSC syllabus. Okay, so this is a particular topic, or this is a topic which is very much important for mains, not exactly in prelims. You have to invest your times for preparing notes regarding this particular line for your mains exam, because there will be questions regarding scientists like C.V. Raman or J.C. Bose or even Varghese Kurian. These kind of eminent scientists can be the topics of questions in civil service mains, especially in science and technology. And the second line, science of everyday life. This is the most important line in your syllabus. And this particular topic is highly important for the prelims of science and technology, or prelims of UPSC exam, because question can be anything, or question can be about everything or anything around us, anything about new technologies that are happening around us. So this particular line, second line, is highly important for the prelims, not exactly for mains. And third one, indigenization of technology and developing new technology. This is again important both for prelims and mains. So what do you mean by indigenization of technology? So whenever we study a particular technology, we have to think it about Indian perspective, because we are appearing for Indian Civil Service exam. So whenever we study for a particular technology, we have to think about what would be the implication or what would be the contribution of India in harnessing or in developing or in particularly developing that particular technology. See, if I give an example, if you study about the technology regarding missiles, we have to think it about how India developed or how India contributed in missile technology. So we'll think about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, we'll think about the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, or we'll think about the various N number of missiles developed by India, so that. And one more example, if you study of biotechnology, we have to think about what is the use of biotechnology in India, or what is the application of biotechnology in India, or in what way India derived benefit out of biotechnology. So the first point that will come into our mind when we think about biotechnology would be green revolution, or it would be white revolution. Okay, so this is how you have to decipher the syllabus. The third line is specifically regarding how India benefited out of science and technology. When we study each and every technology or topic, we have to think it about in Indian perspective. And fourth line, which is a very broad line, and n number of questions can be come in that particular topic, especially in prelims. So the topic or that particular line specifically tells about awareness in fields like IT, space, robotics, biotechnology, nanotechnology, etc. So this is a very broad line. It can be analyzed in n number of ways. So the specific way to deal with that particular line to make up your current affairs. Follow religiously newspapers or classroom lectures, handouts, whatever be the current affair, you have to study it, because question can be any of the current affairs. And for example, in 2020, there was a question regarding 4G. And in 2019, there were questions regarding, wearable devices, which we use every day. So those kind of question can be come from that particular line. So if you analyze the syllabus, the first line is regarding especially important for mains, and other three lines are important for prelims. And last one, issues relating to IPR. Hope you may know about IPR, which is regarding intellectual property rights, that deals with entities like patents, trademarks, designs, etc. And that particular topic also important for mains. And those who don't know about the last line, we'll see in the class, we'll discuss it in the class. Now, this is a syllabus of science and technology. Hope you have understood regarding the syllabus of environment ecology and science and technology. So these are the two lines. And the most important task associated with these two subjects are syllabus is highly vague, syllabus is very general. So we have to classify these syllabus into different modules. There lies the importance of classroom sessions. Getting it? So based on the syllabus, I have grouped the environment and ecology into some 10 topics, 9-10 topics. So these will be the area we'll be discussing in our classroom sessions. And if you look at the topics, you can see the topics like protected area networks, species protection, national environmental initiatives, basic ecology, etc., in our syllabus. But can you think about the problem in these topics? If you think about protected area networks, there will be some 500 plus protected area networks like national park, wildlife sanctuary, tiger reserves, etc. It is humanly impossible to by heart or understand all the features, all the species protected inside those areas. So we have to apply our smart work. Getting it? And if you think about species protection, you know that India is a mega diverse country. You can see any type of mammal, any type of birds, any type of reptiles in our country. So how is it possible to study about these species? The best way is to apply your smart work, not your hard work in these topics. And what about national initiatives? From 1947, there are a number of initiatives here. And what about basic ecology? For those people coming from economic background, it won't be possible to catch up all the concepts in environment ecology. So how to deal with basic ecology? So these are the things you have to comprehend from a classroom session. So this will be the topics I'll be discussing when we see in your classroom. So I would like to discuss the mode of study or mode of taking classes with you regarding each of these topics. So when it comes to environment, you have to, as I said earlier, there will be around 15 to 16 questions every year, which I have already told you. And again, as Nikhil sir said earlier, some questions can be overlapped with geography, So environment and geography are almost overlapping subjects. So from both these subjects, you'll be getting around 20 to 25 questions. So if you take a single subject, you'll be getting around 20 questions or 15 to 20 questions, which makes up to 40 marks. And questions difficulty level, as it is a general studies paper, you don't need to worry. There won't be hardly a difficult level of question. Out of 20 questions, there will be 2 or 3 difficult questions. Rest 17 questions would be easy to medium if we prepare the subject comprehensively and in a holistic way. So that would be the first takeaway. This is regarding the nature of this particular topic. And going with the takeaway number 2, see, I need to introduce an idea how we'll be taking environment ecology in a classroom session. So this is my analysis, which I've done or which I got from analysis of previous 10-year question paper. So as I shown you earlier, we have to study about protected area networks. But as I said earlier, there are around 500 plus protected area networks in India. So how will we study it? The best way to analyze previous year question paper, and when we analyze previous year question paper, there will be around 15 to 16 protected area networks, which is UPSC continuously or consistently picking up. Over the last 10 years, UPSC only picking up a handful of protected areas. So our objective would be doing a smart work, not a hard work. So if you look at the previous year examples or previous year questions, see national parks like Bidahaniga, national park like Manas, national parks like Damdafa, which is continuously picked up by UPSC every year. And go through the question paper, you can see these national parks, these protected areas will be either questions or as a part of options. UPSC consistently asking about these subjects only or these areas only. See, look at Kanchenjunga, look at Nanda Devi, look at Namdava. See, these are identical questions in 2015 and 2019. And go to the questions in 2012, 2013 or 14 or even 19. See, look at the areas we have picked. So UPSC had asked about Bidahanika in 2012. And what about in 2014? What about in 2019? You can see similar protected areas in all these years. So the outcome would be like this. UPSC, even though there are 500 plus protected areas in India, UPSC is interested only in a handful of protected areas. So how to know it? Analyze previous year question paper, attend the classes. So that would be the primary objective. So this will be my mode of what? Approaching environment ecology. Rather than doing hard work or very hard work, or what, any directionless hard work in environment ecology, which would make the subject even more tougher, we have to follow a smart work. So this is environment ecology. And let me show you another example, another obsession of UPSC. UPSC would be asking areas from Northeast or Western Ghats. Why? Because these are the two areas where we have enough biodiversity. So UPSC will be looking into those areas and picking a question from there. So we have to analyze these. And moving on, let me show you the dimensions. Okay, how to prepare upon a particular protected area. So this will be the dimensions. So if you study about Kaziranga National Park, we have to study in which state it locates, and are there any mountain ranges or geographical features in it, and what is the climatology there, and what about the biodiversity of that particular national park, which all kind of animals or birds are dwelling there, and is there any anthropological significance with respect to that particular national park, like is there any tribe or is there any forest dweller living in that particular national park. So we have to study all these dimensions. So this will be the entire mode of preparation. Rather than doing hard work, we'll be doing smart work, like picking up what the most important protected areas or protected area which is there a high chance which will be picked by UPSC. Okay, so this will be the mode of preparation or mode of what lecturing regarding environment and ecology. And another thing, we have another takeaway which has been obtained from previous year question paper analysis. There are n number of species, infinite number of species in India, and don't worry, we don't need to study about that infinite number of species. Focus on a most superstar species or most important species which is beloved by UPSC. See, for example, Gharial is there, Indian wild ass is there, snow leopard is there, gangetic dolphin is there. So these are the most important or some of the most important species picked up by UPSC every year. So look at the questions. You can see the same species asked by UPSC over the years. In 2013, 2015, 2017 and 2017, there are similar species like gharial, Indian wild ass, swamp deer, olive lily turtle, okay, or gangetic dolphin. Or participants remains the same over the years. Only the nature of question changes. Only the framework of question changes. So once you know the trend followed by UPSC, you'll be able to track this question. Okay, so it is not possible, or you don't need to think like it is impossible to crack prelims. It is very much possible if you do the smart work. And smart work is what we are obtaining at aiming at. Okay, so this is how, or this is a sample of our classwork. Getting it? So this is the superstar species picked up by UPSC every year, and you have to focus on these kind of species, these kind of animals. If you study about species. Getting it? So this is the approach of environment ecology. Rather than mugging up facts, rather than mugging up theories, we have to study smartly, and which is what we are offering to you. Getting it? So this is regarding science and technology, and moving it, we have to discuss about science and technology also. I know it's getting extended for a while, and now we'll be discussing about science and technology. And what will be the most important takeaway of science and technology, or what was it? It is very much important for prelims, right? It was very much important for prelims than mains, because 75% of the questions will be regarding prelims, and 25 will be from mains perspective. So the most important takeaway of science and technology, how to prepare upon it, you have to what? Be updated with the current affair thing. You have to be very dynamic regarding science and technology. So based on the syllabus which you have seen earlier, I have prepared some modules. I have classified the entire syllabus of science and technology into 6 modules. So these will be the 6 modules that we are going to discuss or delve in a classroom. So modules like energy, space technology, defense technology, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and some random topics which we had discussed earlier. So these are the 6 modules from science and technology we'll be discussing in our classroom. So energy is the most important module. Space is another important module, and compared to energy and space, defense will be in a back foot. Getting it? And biotechnology also very much important. And talking about mains, the most important modules will be energy and biotechnology. So we have divided the entire subject into 6 different modules, and questions can be from theory based to current affairs thing. From science and technology, that will be the approach of UPSC. These are the 6 modules. So if you think about energy, question can be about renewable energy, and question can be even about nuclear energy. And if you think about space technology, UPSC can pick up question or topics, what missions by SRO or missions by NASA, okay, or technology which we have today in space technology, or even they can ask questions regarding SpaceX also. So that's a very much current affairs oriented module. And regarding defense technology, there were hardly around 3 to 4 questions in past 10 years. So that is not a very much important module, but we have to study about it. Getting it? And biotechnology, very much important for your prelims as well as mains. Okay, in both the paper, I mean prelims paper as well as mains paper, you can expect a question from biotechnology, 1 or 2 questions from biotechnology every year. Okay, there can be questions regarding GM crops, there can be questions regarding antimicrobial resistance. Okay, so biotechnology is very much important for your prelims as well as mains. And nanotechnology and IT and robotics, that comprehensive module, we can take it together, and questions are used to come from current affairs thing, not from any static part, because you know it, these modules or these subjects are changing every day by day. So we have to prepare based on current affairs. Getting it? And what we will do in our science and technology classroom would be, we'll be dealing with science and technology current affairs from every resources or every sources which is possible by us. Okay, we'll be discussing topics from government documents like annual reports or PAB reports, or we'll be discussing current affairs from as many as newspaper as possible, like from the Hindu or the Indian Express. Or we'll discuss topics which comes in magazines like ScienceDaily.com, or even Down to Earth. That will be another magazine which is important both for environment and science and technology. Okay, so this will be the approach of science and technology and environment. Getting it? And when we talk about science and technology, we have to talk about basic science also. So many of you, as Sibil sir had mentioned earlier, so many of you may come from economic background or arts background who are not used to basic science, or who studied basic science only till 10th standard. But don't worry, this is my insight for you. You can approach science and technology with full confidence, because the concept oriented science questions or basic science questions were only asked till 2013, and after that they were not enough basic science questions. And even the question asked from basic science will be very easy. So look at the physics question. It asked about friction. UPSC asked about friction. And when it comes to biology, UPSC asked about the deficiency diseases. And when it comes to chemistry, they asked about chemical change and physical change, difference between these two. So any person who studies science till 10th standard, at least till 5th standard, would be able to crack these kind of questions. So science and technology, it is all about current affairs thing. 90% would be current affairs, 10% there may be some basic science questions. And even if UPSC asks basic science question, it will be very much easier, like this. Okay, so this will be the science and technology thing. Getting it? I hope you have got an insight regarding both science and technology and environment ecology, and this would be the sources. Okay, sources, I can tell you, there's a technical error in writing sources on the screen, so I'll be tell you sources for environment ecology and science and technology. For both the subjects, you can follow our handouts. 75% of the things asking in UPSC will be dealt with handouts only. 20% would be from lectures, class lectures we'll be discussing in our live classrooms. Getting it? So we'll be giving you handouts, well-made handouts, both for environment and for science and technology. And NCERT is a must-do thing, irrespective of the subject, whether it is polity, whether it is geography, whether it is environment ecology or science and technology. NCERT is a must-do thing. So for science and technology, you can refer NCERTs from 6th to 10th standard for understanding basic science. And for environment ecology, 11th and 12th standard NCERTs are more than enough. You can read it now by yourself, but once you attend the class, it will be easier for you to comprehend the ideas given in the NCERT. Getting it? So this will be the sources for science and technology, and in science and technology, same. Okay, NCERT and the handouts. Getting it? So that is all regarding these two subjects, environment ecology and science and technology. Getting it? So let me summarize it. Both the subjects are important for 70%. They are important for prelims exam and 30% for mains exam. Getting it? And questions are of very dynamic in nature, both for environment and science and technology. So you have to make up your current affairs, and you have to be very strong in your current affairs in order to tackle these questions from these two subjects. Okay. So that's it. Okay. You can post your queries in the chat box. I'll be answering all those queries. Then thank you. Okay, so next it would be Vaisakh sir dealing with CSAT session. So hope we'll be meeting in our classroom sessions. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, all. So my name is Vaisakh. So I'll be dealing with Civil Service Aptitude Test or CSAT paper. So your Civil Service Aptitude Test or CSAT paper can be divided into 3 sections. That is quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, and English language or reading comprehension and critical reasoning. So there are slight differences between your GS paper and CSAT paper. Okay, in terms of number of questions and markings. So in case of your prelims GS paper 1, you'll be having 100 questions and 200 marks. But in case of CSAT, you'll be having 80 questions and 200 marks. That means per questions, you'll be having 2.5 marks. In case of GS, you'll be having just 2 marks. In case of CSAT, you'll be having 2.5 marks. So the rewards are high for each correct response. But in case of incorrect response, for GS paper will be having minus 0.67 marks, but in case of CSAT you will be having minus 0.83 marks. So the reward is high for making each question correct, and at the same time the negative marks per question is also high. So what really matters in case of CSAT paper is that you need to have a high accuracy. You can't afford to make a lot of mistakes, thus by reducing the chance of getting into
clearing this particular paper. So the time available per question is 90 seconds. So when you compare with other exams like your bank exams, SSC exams, CAT examinations, so some names are similar here. The quantity aptitude, logical reasoning, English comprehension, some names are similar, but the pattern of questions are really different. Okay, so let's see the syllabus of your CSAT paper. So this is the syllabus given by the UPSC. Okay, so comprehension, interpersonal skills, including communication skill. So these two subjects, these two lines can be comprehended as your English language or reading comprehension and critical reasoning. Next one is logical reasoning and analytical ability, decision making and problem solving, general mental ability, basic numeracy. So it is specified in the notification itself that the questions will be of class 10 level. Okay, now so this is a very weak syllabus. Okay, you can really say like which all topics will be included in this particular topic. Okay, so in other exams like bank exams, or if you're talking about SSC examination, there'll be a very detailed syllabus including the topics that is going to ask. But UPSC has given a very vague syllabus that makes it very difficult for the preparation phase. Like they can include anything and they can say that this is already given in your syllabus. Okay, so let's go through the previous trends in this particular paper. See, there are two factors that makes this paper difficult. First one is the number of questions asked per session, and second thing is per question paper, and second thing is the difficulty of the question that has been asked. Okay, so CSAT paper was introduced in 2011. Okay, so 2011, as you can see, in maths there were 16 questions asked, reasoning there were 25 questions asked, and English there were 39 questions asked, a total of 80 questions. But suddenly in 2012 paper, if you look at it, the number of questions asked from maths decreased from 16 to 3. Okay, so each year when you analyze the paper, you can see the difference in number of questions asked in each session. Okay, so CSAT was made a qualifying paper in 2015. Now you don't have to score like 150 or 160 in this paper. You just have to score 33% of the total mark. That means 200, 33%, that means 66 marks. Okay, so what happened is 2015, like 2011, 12, 13, 14 papers are comparatively easier. Okay, so 15 and 16, the trend almost continued. 15, 16, 17, the difficulty level was not that high. There was a slight change in the type of questions asked. But in 2018, UPSC surprised all by including 14 questions from the data interpretation session. Okay, in the history of this CSAT paper, such high number of questions were not asked from this particular topic. So people thought like, okay, this might be a trend setter. So next year again some 15 questions, 16 questions will be asked. But to everyone's surprise, 2019 UPSC asked 1 or 2 questions maximum from this particular topic. So what we are seeing is for the past 3 years, especially 2018, 19, 20, there has been a drastic difference in the pattern and the questions asked from each different topic. Okay, the only thing we can say almost remains constant is the questions asked in the English session. Okay, so from English, around 26 to 30 questions has been asked for the previous 5-6 years. Okay, now last year 2020 was the biggest shocker. UPSC asked 42 questions from the maths session and just 12 questions from the reasoning. Now, if you compare regarding the difficulties between these 3 sessions, maths, reasoning, and English session, the English session probably some of you might be thinking like, yeah, I studied in an English medium background, or some might be thinking like I have studied in a Malayalam medium background, so or some regional language, whatever it is. Okay, so there can be some advantage for the others. See, I have just given the name English for the sake of for making it simple, but really it is not English. It's not just English language. It is reading comprehension and critical reasoning. These kind of questions can be answered only if you have done sufficient practice. Okay, now talking about maths and reasoning, I have just given the name maths and reasoning for making it familiar for you, but it is not really maths, it is quantitative aptitude. And reasoning, it is logical reasoning. Okay, so many of you might have some maths background, science background, engineering background. For those people might be thinking like CSAT will be a cakewalk. No, it's not like that. Okay, so if it was really like simple maths, then okay, but this is not maths, this is quantitative aptitude. Okay, the only thing maybe you will have certain advantage when I'm talking about the engineering graduates or the maths background graduates. The only things you are having some advantage is that some part of the syllabus has some overlap in this +2 classes and +1 classes. Okay, nothing more than that. Okay, this is entirely a different game, this maths, quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning. Okay, now logical reasoning is comparatively easier when you compare with maths and English. Okay, so what people have done in the past 3-4 years, like before 2020, I'm talking about before 2020, as you can see, from 2015 onwards, there were 18 questions, 21 questions, 22 questions, 28 questions asked from the logical reasoning part. So people mostly tend to focus more on reasoning and English session. UPSC understood this and they didn't like it. Okay, so what it does is, in 2020 they suddenly decreased the number of questions from 18 to 12, and they drastically increased the number of questions in maths, that is 42 questions. That too, from a particular subject they increased the number of questions from 10 to like 35. Okay, 30 to 35 from a single topic. Okay, so these kind of trends shows that UPSC doesn't want any aspirant to clear this particular paper without any preparation. You need to do some ample preparation, or I would say optimal preparation for clearing this paper. Okay, this is the point where we are focusing. We ensure that everyone is capable, everyone is doing their optimal preparation for clearing this paper. Okay, many of my friends last year, okay, who thought that CSAT might be a cakewalk. So what they did was they focused really on this GS1 paper. Okay, your polity, history, all those things. So what really happened was they scored really well, like 130, 120, 125 marks. But in the end, CSAT paper, many of them flunk. Okay, they like the sudden change in pattern just shattered everything, their what their presence of mind, everything in that particular that time frame. Okay, so what happened was many of them got disqualified. Okay, so don't do that mistake. So focus well on this particular paper. I know that many of you might have good base in maths. Okay, many of you might have left maths long before. So we have planned in such a way that like we have we are we are just planning our course in such a way that we make sure that you are catering the needs of every type of students. Okay, so these are the topic lists that we are covering. Okay, syllogism series, sense of direction, blood relations, a lot of things. Okay, around 30 topics are there. Then plus we'll be having 10 practice tests that will be conducted in the class itself. So total there will be 120 hours course for the CSAT topic. Okay, so the thing is, our classes will be not like I'm delivering the lecture from the dais, and you'll be like sitting like spectators in the audience. No, it won't be like that. So I'll be coming to you, I'll be discussing the questions, I'll be there with you in terms of when we are facing some difficulties or anything. I'll be giving special attention to those who need. Okay, those who feel like they are not that much good at maths. Okay, so that will be how you'll be covering. So it will be like our classes, every classes will be 3-hour sessions. So in the beginning, like half an hour, we'll be discussing the important concepts, the important formulas, the important shortcuts, and after that the remaining time will be just solving different kind of questions, both direct questions and application level questions, plus the previous questions that has been asked from that particular topic. So this is how our classes will proceed. Okay, so that's all. So next session will be by TJ Abraham sir. Thank you.
Okay, so welcome back. So we are into the last subject. The last subject is ethics, integrity, and aptitude. First of all, like I would like to congratulate everyone who has been staying here from the very beginning. Like we have crossed 2 hours. Okay, I deeply appreciate your effort. And see, this is a first level of filtration has already taken place. Okay, so anyway, like thank you for being with us. Okay, one major area that we missed is history. History is taken by Shiva Prasad sir. Okay, he has been with us for a long time. Recently, like he just got married recently, so as part of the marriage, like he's traveling, so unfortunately there is some problem with the internet. So every month we will be conducting these sessions, like probably next month you can, all of you can get to know Shiva Prasad sir. So we are into the last part. Okay, last part is ethics, integrity, and aptitude. A single paper carrying 250 marks. So as we know, like the entire civil service examination that is divided into 3 parts: prelims, mains, and interview. So what is UPSC actually doing in this when it conducts prelims, mains, and interview? See, UPSC is trying to assess a candidate's aptitude. Aptitude means what? A candidate's potential. Whether this particular candidate, if he is given the right training in Labasana, if he is given the right training in Labasana, whether this particular candidate can be made into a good civil servant. So whether it is prelims, whether through the objective examination, or whether through mains, whether through written examination, because written examination, a candidate's analytical skill, all these things are what looked into. And when it comes to the final interview, the personality of the candidate tested. So a candidate's aptitude is being evaluated. Now, the question that is in front of UPSC is that we have identified a talented candidate. Now, the question is that this particular talent, will it be used for the collective good of the society, or will it be used for his own fulfillment of his own selfish interest, or whether he will use it for gaining reputation, power, or to fulfill its greed, or whether this particular skill would be used for what? The fulfillment of the community. So the way in which a person utilizes his talent, his skill, depends on what? His ethics and his values. So definitely UPSC want to have people with good character into the service, not only talented people, not only skilled people, but people with what? Good values, people with good ethics. Ethics means what? They have a good sense of what is right and what is wrong. Okay, now that is the prime reason why UPSC introduced what? GS paper 4. Okay, so that is the agenda behind introducing GS paper 4. Okay, so the idea is that in all the 3 papers, whether it is prelims, mains, or interview, UPSC is evaluating whether that particular candidate is skilled. But we not only want skilled candidate, we want people with what? Good sense of right and wrong. Ethics means what? A person who knows what is right and what is wrong. And we also need what? People with good values. And it is this particular thing that is evaluated in what? GS paper 4. Okay, because if extremely talented people get into service, if they don't have the right ethics, if they don't have the right values, they're going to use their skill or competency to what? To fill their pockets. Okay, for bribe, for corruption. So we need people with what? Good values. Only then what? A developing country like India can what? Properly develop, and the benefits of development reach everyone. So it is with this particular agenda UPSC has made GS paper 4. Now, when it comes to this paper, let's take UPSC's idea. Like this is given by UPSC. This paper will include 2 questions to test the candidate's attitude and approach to issues relating to integrity, probity in public life, and his problem-solving approach to various issues, conflicts faced by him dealing with the society. Questions may utilize the case study approach to determine these aspects. The following broad areas will be covered. Okay, so that is where the UPSC is given the syllabus. So when it comes to GS paper 4, it contains 2 sessions. Session 1, that is the theory part. You will have 13 questions, each of 10 marks, 130 marks. Session B would be case studies. In case studies, normally UPSC give around 6 case studies, each having 20 marks. Now, what is theory part? Theory part, you get theory-based questions. In case studies, you will given a scenario, a situation, a case study, and UPSC will ask you how to solve the case study. Now, I'll give you examples of both. Okay, now just keep this particular thing in your mind. So when it comes to the general syllabus, this is a general syllabus. Like first chapter is ethics and human interface. So there you get an idea. Ethics means what? It is a systematic study of what is right and what is wrong to achieve social and human well-being. Okay, I'm not going to the details of that. And human interface means what? What happens when a person becomes ethical? And we are going to read things that is related to that. Human values. Values means what? Things that a person consider important in their life. That is what is called as what? Values. Whether we value relationship, whether we value money, whether we value wealth, whether you value fame. That comes under what? Human values. Aptitude means what? The inborn skill or potential is called as what? Aptitude. Attitude means what? The way we react to something. Emotional intelligence means what? How we are able to manage our emotions. Emotions can be both destructive as well as what? Productive. So how we manage emotions, that comes under what? Emotional intelligence. And just like in our life, when we face challenging situations, we look out for learned people to get what? Inspiration and guidance. So in the chapter contributions of moral thinkers, philosophers from India and the world, we try to come across the thought process, the values that was nourished by great leaders and personalities. Okay. So if we can see chapter 1 to 6, this particular chapter are given in blue color. So this is actually the theoretical part. In chapter 7 and 8, we are applying these theoretical concepts to what? Public administration and governance. So that is where we have what? 7 and 8. Numbering error there. So in 7 is what? Public or civil service values and ethics in public administration. And the last chapter is what? Probity in governance. So 1 to 6 concepts we are applying in what? 7 and 8. And last part is what? All these things would be evaluated through case studies. Okay, so that is the overview. This is the overall syllabus map. I'm not going into the details of that. In the first class of ethics, you will be getting familiar with that. The entire syllabus can be connected in this particular manner. Because see, like one unique approach of our GS4 classes that we try to do everything by a framework approach. Okay, framework approach, like I'll be giving you a number of frameworks. Okay, and when you apply your mind through this framework, you'll be able to easily apply what? You'll be able to come up with points. And through the last 3 years, we have, like, our students have been systematically scoring extremely high marks when it comes to GS paper 4. Okay. So I'll give you a previous question so you get an idea regarding this particular paper. Like, if a country is to be corruption free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel there are 3 societal members who can make a difference. They are father, mother, and leader. APJ Abdul Kalam analyze. So UPSC gives a statement and asks us to what? Analyze. Now, next is a question from the chapter emotional intelligence. Anger is a harmful negative emotion. It is injurious to both personal life and work life. Discuss how it leads to negative emotions and undesirable behavior. How can it be managed and controlled? Now, next is a chapter from the question from the topic probity in governance. The Right to Information Act is not all about citizen empowerment alone. It redefines the concept of accountability. Okay, so this is these are 3 questions. Now I'll give a question from section B. Suppose you are a officer. So this is a question in which an old and illiterate woman is coming to you. You are a civil servant. Now you know that this particular lady drastically needs all the benefits of the scheme, but unfortunately this particular illiterate woman does not have any documents, okay, that is required for availing that particular scheme. So UPSC asks, what is the right thing to do in this particular situation? Like, will you follow the rules? If you blindly follow the rules and does not give the scheme, you will feel like you would be like what? Cruel and inhuman. Okay, so these type of questions, these type of scenarios, UPSC is going to give you and ask you how you are going to solve this. Okay, so that is regarding. Okay, now we provide 100% syllabus coverage for all the part of the syllabus. We would be giving you what? Handouts. Okay, we'll allocate special sessions for answer writing. So answer writing, as I've stated before, we will be following a framework based answer writing, because when it comes to ethics question, we have this part A, section A, and section B. Section A is theory, section B is what? Case studies. Section A, it's very important that we need to bring proper examples. Okay, When it comes to section B, we should use what the key terms that is used in section A. So there is a certain level of interconnectivity between section A and section B that need to be properly brought in. Keywords need to be properly brought in. So we have a framework-based approach. So I'll give you certain guidelines regarding what can be brought in introduction, what can be brought in the body, and what can be brought in the conclusion of the answer. We have a very unique and highly successful framework-based answer writing practice. So I'll make so that is one way. Second is what similarly we have a framework-based what case study practice. Okay, so last 3 years this has been a program that has been very successfully running. Like last year, like one of our students, Sailesh, he scored around 157 marks. We have a large number of students who have scored 150 plus marks. Okay, so if you go through our YouTube pages, you can get their testimonials. Okay, so with that, we are ending this particular session. Okay, now I would like to introduce you to a very important person. It's Dias sir. Dias sir. Dias. I'd like to introduce you to Dias sir. He's our academic manager. Okay, he's going to wrap up this particular session with the last words of wisdom and advice from his side. Okay, so I'd like to invite Dias sir. Okay, with that, we would be ending this particular session.
So good evening, friends. So I will clarify some details regarding our class timings, regarding our current affairs, how we are approaching our current affairs, then regarding our mentorship program, and finally about our optionals. So regarding the class timings, the PCM class timings will be, so it will start at 9:15 a.m. and the first session will be a 2-hour session. It will go up to 11:15 a.m. Then there will be a 15 minutes break. Then the second session will start at 11:30 a.m. Right, so that's regarding the class timing. In a normal week, you will be having classes from Monday to Friday. Good. Okay, this is the regular class timing. So regarding current affairs, you will be having a lot of doubts regarding current affairs. So there will be proper guidance from our side regarding current affairs. At the starting of your program, so there will be an orientation program, and you will get proper guidance regarding how to read the newspaper, how to prepare notes, etc. Now, you can actually follow the current affairs on a daily basis through our current affairs app and website, that is iLearnKana.com. Okay, www.iLearnKana.com. So Kana stands for Current Affairs and News Analysis, CANA. Now, in addition to these two aspects, there will be a regular weekly classes on current affairs. So all the major topics of that particular week will be covered in the classroom program. Now, there is another important component of the PCM course, that is the mentorship program. So every batch will be divided into groups of around 15 students, and each group will be allotted a mentor. A mentor is a person who has attended at least one UPSC interview. That means he has good experience our prelims, mains, as well as interview. So he can give you proper guidance regarding all the stages of the examination. So here you will be getting a personal guidance. That's the importance of this mentorship program. Now, you will also be having a lot of doubts regarding optionals. So our suggestion is that please don't worry about optional at the present, at this time. Presently, you focus on deciding a course and join a GS course. And if you're joining us, there will be proper guidance regarding how to choose an optional and which optional will be best for you, etc. So you can actually choose the best optional after joining the GS course, because then only you will get proper guidance and proper information to come up to reach a decision. So that's regarding the optionals. And so we are concluding the session. So I hope you got a good understanding about how the course will be and what are the important topics and subjects here, etc. So we are concluding the session. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the very success in your UPSC journey, and hope you will be able to clear the examination. And we again wish you all very success. And thank you for watching. And if you are joining our PCM batch, we will meet you in the class. Thank you.